It's 10 o'clock. It's the 25th day of February 2021. I am too white. I am the politically incorrect. I am the grumpy, toxic gatekeeper to all things gaming, the OGGM, and it's time for another episode of DM Tips to help you do gaming well. Let me share my 45 years of playing this hobby with you in the hopes that maybe some of it is worth taking home. And if not, oh well, it's not like I'm getting paid to do this. All right, so all this month we've been talking about NPCs, non-player characters, the greatest benefit / bane of every DM. They're either an amazing tool that helps the world work, or they're just a huge obstacle that makes DMs go, why? Why did you kill them? Why are you guys? So in our final chapter, the care and feeding of NPCs, we're going to address the, okay, so how do I make these NPCs feel like they're living, breathing individuals in the world, but not to the point where they're either targets for the player's rage or targets for the player's amorous attentions, unless, of course, that's what you want to happen. You kind of want the NPC to be, when he's on screen, you want her to be important and do their job, but then you kind of just want to move them along if they're not important to the story. But you don't want them to just be cardboard cutouts. You just don't want an entire village filled with people who do the exact same thing. You want some kind of differentiation so that when they talk to the bartender, it's a completely different individual than when they talk to the crazy herbalist lady. So what are some tricks you can use to sort of quickly generate NPCs, make them interesting, make them feel like living, breathing parts of the world, but then also just sort of like, I'm done with this guy, I'm never going to see him again. So first, what's that NPC's job? I mean, if your village is entirely populated by 0 first-level mooks, what is that first-level mook's job? What is it that they do? Because they contribute to the city. The city's there, whether the players are in it or not, and the city keeps going, whether the players are there or not. So what's that NPC's job? What is the one thing they do? Are they the blacksmith? Are they the bartender? Are they the herbalist? Are they the cook? Are they the leathersmith? So that's the first thing, because their job will kind of shape who they are, what they do, how they look, even their name. Remember, in the Middle Ages, a lot of names came from what you did. Bob the Smith was a blacksmith. He became Bob Smith. John the Tailor was a tailor. He became John Taylor. Then his son would be John Taylor Jr., etc., etc. So what is their job? Second, 3 questions you can answer yourself when they confront an NPC. Well, 4 questions, really. First question, what does that NPC want? And it can be something as simple as that NPC wants to get paid and make money and support his family and have a decent lunch and go home and not argue with his wife. Could just be everyday normal things, nothing exceptional. What does the NPC want? He just wants to do his job. Have a nice day and go home. That could be it. Or it could be something a little grander, like that NPC secretly wants to kill somebody else, or that NPC loves to dance, or that NPC is actually working against the players, or the NPC is actually a member of the cult and wants the cult to succeed. It could be something grandiose. What do they want? Or it could just be something simple. What do they want? And the opposite side of that, what does each and every NPC fear? Their secrets, their fears, their desires. And again, it could be something as simple as that NPC is afraid of spiders. That NPC is afraid of ghosts. That NPC is afraid of not being able to pay his taxes. That NPC is afraid they can't offer a better life to their children. Simple things. Or it could be, again, something outrageously gross. That NPC is afraid the curse that haunts his family will also strike him down too. That NPC is afraid of the magistrate because the magistrate might find their secrets. That NPC is afraid of the players because they're working against what the NPC is doing. It could be that, but more often than not, it's just something simple. Third, what is the one thing that makes that NPC stand out from every other NPC? Again, and that's simply as well, their job is what makes them different. How they look could be different, how they talk, how they act, how they react to what the player characters do, or do they like player character adventures? Do they dislike them? It could be something like, well, that NPC has a big nose. That NPC has red hair. That NPC always dresses in yellow. That NPC always smells like baked bread. That NPC hates copper coins and only accepts silver. Just the one thing. That NPC's got a huge wart right here. One thing that makes them different. And finally, what is their name? And sometimes that's the hardest thing. Fortunately, there's hundreds and hundreds of naming books and tables and resources to come up with names that are appropriate. Obviously, the names in an Oriental-themed village would be different than the names of people who are in an African village or a Middle European-themed village or a American Indian-themed village. So, you could name them all Steve like I do because I don't care. Or you could give them names that fit who they are, what they do, where they are, stuff like that. John the Smith. He's the blacksmith. His name kind of fits his profession. Lord Obadiah, Abariscius III, conqueror of Dragonspire. That's, an NPC too, but he's got a better name. Or you could just, if you don't have tables, if you don't have resources, if you don't have access to a thing, you can just look left and look right, and there's the name. Knob the Green. Knob the Green. His name is Knob the Green. I look left, I look right, I taught two things, I made a name. It often leads to very strange names, depending upon wherever you are. But, more than often not, you could do that. So, what's their job? What do they want? What do they fear? What's the one thing that makes them stand out from every other NPC? What's their name? That's all you need to know about the NPC. They're fire and forget. The player characters encounter them. They deal with them. They maybe, you do a few things to make that NPC different than the last NPC. And then hopefully the player characters move along and they do not A, decide to murder the NPC, or B, decide to kidnap them and take them on adventures. See the previous video about young K. Anyways, that's pretty much the best advice I can give you about NPCs. Base them upon personality traits you know. Try not to make them all exactly the same, unless, of course, that's the point. Try and make the names fit where they are. Obviously, Asian NPCs are going to have Asian names, and Middle European NPCs are going to have Middle European names, and their names are usually based upon their jobs. Give them one thing they want, one thing they fear, one thing that makes them stand out. Obadias the Obstreperous has a really big nose. Sally the Seamstress always dresses in yellow. Whatever. And then move along. There we go. I hope you appreciate this content. If you do, you know what to do. If you're planning on unsubscribing, please let me know why, because I can't fix it if you don't let me know it's broken. Help me hit 500 subs by August 4th, and we'll do something crazy. Stay sane in this world of insanity. I'll talk to you later. Boop.